few girls joining us already, but of course we're going to give it several moments to let everyone in. We generally get a dozen or so. I think the max we've had on a session like this is about 30, but it tends to run closer to 15 or so. And of course, the sessions are recorded, so they are up on our Flipgrid. This one will go up likely by Friday. When I put out the Friday bulletin, I'll have this one up on Flipgrid for them. And they'll continue being available on Flipgrid for as long as we're using Flipgrid for any future members. So we have about 50 members there now, and we're kind of reopening membership in September to open up our numbers a little bit more. And for the girls who have joined us, we have Marlayne Hardy of TechNL and Lesley Chard, who you might have already seen up on our Flipgrid this month. Both going to talk to us about the digital economy or the tech sector in the province. Getting set up a little bit with what I call my pocket questions to get us going. But of course, as you all probably know by now, you can be entering questions in the Q&A as we go. We're going to start with Marlayne Hardy of TechNL to give us an overview of the tech sector. But by all means, as she's going, you can ask her questions and build upon the questions for Lesley afterwards as well. So perhaps we should just start with an introduction, and I'll start with Lesley since Marlayne's going to take over for the first part anyway. So Lesley, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure can. Some of you may recognize me from the videos on Flipgrid. So if you already know a little bit about me, I apologize. But for those of you that I haven't digitally met yet, my name is Lesley, and I work for Zorbit's Math here in St. John's. So I develop K-6 learning games for math education, as well as teacher tools and all kinds of fun stuff. My academic background, I graduated from PwC in St. John's in 2010. My age is showing. And I did computer science at MUN, and I graduated in 2015. So for those of you that don't know what computer science is, it's basically studying how to code, how to talk to computers, how to build computers, how to build games, lots of fun stuff. And I like to do lots of stuff outside of work. I'm a really creative person, as you can probably tell from like my green hair, my big earrings. So I do a lot of design work in my work life and in my personal life. So I love to draw and paint and do graphic design. And yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Lesley. And now, Marlayne, maybe start with yourself, and then we'll open it up to your TechNL presentation.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm Marlayne. I work at TechNL as you said. I grew up here in St. John's, and I have a Bachelor of Commerce from Memorial and did the co-op program there. My job has a bunch of different things. My title is Director Innovation Programs, but I joke that it doesn't really tell you what I do. I'm the communications lead and deal with any media or marketing that happens. I also manage different projects. And right now, for example, we're doing some really interesting projects. We're working with member companies to highlight them in a video series. I'm working with some people to help me create a podcast series for the sector. And we're working on getting a new website coming up. So there's always lots of exciting things happening at TechNL. And I love to kayak. That's the other thing about me that I will share today. I can get started with I am going to give an overview today. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the tech sector. There's been so much excitement happening about the tech sector. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of ideas about why we're excited about the sector and what that means for young people and the sector as a whole and the opportunities that are out there. So I'm just going to go and share my screen. And I think here we go. Okay. Now, okay, so you can see my TechNL there?
Yes, I
Awesome.
can.
All right, perfect. If you're not familiar with TechNL, we are a membership association. We've been around for 30 years, and we've been supporting our members, who are all companies that are part of the Newfoundland and Labrador tech sector. So we have over 160 members, but our job is really to be the voice of the sector. So our main priorities are whatever the member companies tell us they need in order to help them grow and scale. So the top priority that we're hearing from members right now is about talent development. So companies have a lot of jobs that they need filled by the skilled workers with certain skills, and they don't have enough people to fill them. So what that means is that there's a great opportunity for anybody who's coming into their career to really make some informed choices about what is possible. And I just want to share the message today that there are lots of opportunities in the tech sector for all of you. So if you're interested in the tech sector, there are and will be more jobs coming. So you're going to want to stay tuned. So this slide here, it's just a bunch of logos really, but it represents just some of the different companies that are in the sector right now. And you may have heard of some of them. Verafin and Blue Drop have, they're in the news a fair bit, and Clockwork Fox, where Lesley works. They've had some exciting news yesterday. They've been acquired. So lots of exciting work happening. I would also like to just point out, if you look at like Genoa and Smart Ice, Granville Biomedical, and then Other Ocean over here. These are companies that are led by women, women leaders, and that's also really exciting. There's others, and that's not just them, but it's always nice to see, where that's happening. And someone like Genoa, they do shipbuilding design, and Gina Pecor is their CEO, and she's an incredible leader. And they do a lot of work with young people and a lot of training to help people really come up to speed with what they need. So lots of good things happening. The other thing is some of these companies are also participating in our TechNL high school internship program. So I just want to mention that now. This is a new program for us, and it starts this summer, and it's for students who are in grades 11 or 12. And it's a 9-week paid internship program. And TechNL will match you with a tech company and then provide some training. So everyone who's participating and accepted into the program, because there's only a limited amount of spots, but anyone who participates will get to do an online course that helps them learn a little bit about the rudiments of coding. There'll be orientation, and then they'll be matched with a company where they'll get to learn about the feel of the tech company, expand their networks. They'll get to develop their skills. There'll be so much learning happening. So if you're interested in that and you're a student in grade 11 or 12, you can find that application on our TechNL website. And I can actually put it in the chat box when I'm done, if that's helpful, so that you can find. But the application deadline is Friday, April 23rd. So we want lots of young women involved in that. So please sign up. All right. So to give you an idea, I won't get too much into the numbers, but there are 6,500 tech sector jobs right now in the province. And that all makes up, it's about a $1.6 billion industry, which is quite significant. And one of the questions that I often get asked is about salary. What can I expect? If I enter the tech sector, what can I expect? And what we've learned is that an average salary for someone starting in the tech sector is about $48,000. And an average salary otherwise is just under $72,000. So you can live and work here in the province and make a great living. This is another slide with lots of percentages and things, and I won't get into all the details, but we did a sector profile about a year or so ago. We just wanted to understand what makes up the sector and what are some of the details about it. And the one I want to really make a point of is right here. So what we learned is that only 23% of the sector is made up of women. And if you look at leadership positions and executive positions, that number is even lower. It's more like 21%. So we really have some work to do. We want our companies to be more diverse and to be more representative of the populations that are out there overall, not just when it comes to gender, but in general. So we are working on some initiatives when it comes to women in tech and moving that dial and trying to help recruit and retain women into the sector. So I'm really glad to be here, invited here today to do this, because it totally aligns with our goals at TechNL as well. And so just to reiterate a couple of points there, we know that there are about 2,000 jobs coming in the next 3 to 5 years. And actually that may be a bit low of an estimate even, because if you look at the top 5 companies, they're probably hiring 500 to 750 on their own. So we know there's a lot of growth. We know that companies are having trouble finding the right talent. They're having to go other places to hire. And we know they're still growing, and they're growing even despite the pandemic. So they're still hiring, they're still growing, and they still need skilled workers. So that's really a great opportunity when we want to be hiring people that are from here so that they can stay here. And the other thing actually just to mention is that companies nowadays they're actually allowing a lot of their employees to work remote. So you can almost live anywhere and work at a company that's not even next door to you. Exactly. So many of us have moved remotely. So lots of opportunity. Okay, so I'm not getting into the details of all this either, but I do want to highlight, we've identified what jobs are most in demand from companies right now and what ones they really need to have filled. And most of them are very technical oriented: software developers, coders, engineers, that kind of thing. And if you're keen on those areas of study, then I would highly recommend you look into pursuing them, because there's lots of jobs out there. But if that's not your jam and you still want to be involved in the tech sector, there are still lots of opportunities. Companies need to have finance people, they need to have HR people, and they need to have marketing and communications people. I'm a marketing communications person, and I'm working in the sector. And there are lots of different opportunities out there that are in different areas. So don't feel like you have to be interested in coding in order to be in the sector. There are still lots of positions out there. So I just wanted to walk through, I have the great pleasure of working with several, lots of different amazing women in the tech sector. So I thought I would highlight these 4 women and tell you just a very little bit about each of them. This year at International Women's Day, we had a panel for a junior high school, and these 4 women spoke to the students there, and they answered some questions and talked about their roles. And actually, the year before, Lesley was one of the women that we featured, and she was amazing to share all of her words of wisdom and advice. So these 4 women are the ones that were here this year, and I'll just kind of give you the little overview on them so that you can see some of the different ways people are involved in the sector. So Natalia is here, she's there on the left, and she is the technical team lead at Verafin. So she has a very much a computer science background, and she has worked all over in the United Kingdom and Moldova. She's worked in Canada. And what she shared with me that I thought was really interesting is that she said she enjoys designing and writing software systems because it allows her to express her creativity while solving challenging problems. And I thought that was really interesting because as someone who is not a technical person, I didn't realize that that could be creative. So, and Lesley, I know you just spoke to that as well, being your creative self. So I think that's a really great point. Next, I'll mention Joanna Brown. Now, Joanna is, she has her Bachelor of Commerce from Memorial as well. And she also has an MBA from MUN, as well as she did part of her degree in Australia. And she loves to travel. She's done a lot of traveling with her job at Vision 33, and she's in sales and business development, which again is very different. But she does help her clients solve problems through the use of the technology that they have at Vision 33. So again, another very different role. The third lovely person I have here is Maddie Coombs, and Maddie is a human resources manager at Sequence Bio. And the interesting thing about Maddie as well is that she also was the co-author of the Gender Diversity Pledge. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's a pledge that companies can take to say that we believe that we should be a diverse organization, and we're going to work towards getting more women to our workplace. And there's resources that go along with that. So Maddie is very passionate about women in tech. And again, her role as a human resources manager is very different from both the other women. And lastly, I'll showcase Gabriella. And Gabriella actually has a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And Gabriella started off as an art educator, which I think is really interesting because now she works at Other Ocean as a digital artist. And she actually designs 3D and 2D assets for the video game called Project Winter. And she puts the cosmetics on the characters that are in the game. So it's actually super interesting, not only what she does as a living, but she really switched her area. She started out with the fine arts and then really taught herself a lot about some of the software programs that are out there so that she can do that. So it's really just interesting to see the different areas that you can get into. And just because you start in one area, often our careers take us different ways. So being open to whatever might come or what you learn along the way, I think is really valuable. And so just to finish up, I just want to say that we know diverse workforces are better. We want to see more women in the technology sector. And we know that diverse workforces are better for so many reasons. They're better for the financial bottom line. They're better for creativity. And we know that companies are solving more and more problems that are new and changing all the time. So solving those challenges going forward will need diverse perspectives to do that. So we need more women at the table and doing all these different roles. And I encourage you very much that if you're interested in the tech sector, to learn more about it, and don't forget to apply for our high school internship program if you're interested as well. So that's really my overview.
That's wonderful. Thanks. Thank you so much. And I know we already have a question in the chat about your internships. It's only a couple days away. So if anyone's interested in it, it sounds like it's time to hop on it. But the question in the chat here is, are the internships open to students any part of the island or Labrador or any other certain places?
We're limited to the companies that sign up, but there is, I believe there's one available in Maine, and there's one, maybe 2 or 3 of them in the Bay Bulls area, but most of them are in the metro area.
And I'm just wondering myself, as you build this program, you said it's only year 1. So for our girls that might not even be in grades 11 or 12, if there are companies out in their areas, it might be a future opportunity, like they might be joining the program if everything goes well. Is that fair to say?
Well, yes, because it is the first year, I think this is a good year for growth. So we can certainly, I expect more companies to come on board when they see the impact that it's having. And the companies that we have out there, they know that talent is important, and the best way to help grow our talent pool is by getting young people involved. So I know that once we get that word out there, it will expand for sure.
Perfect. And I don't know if you,
So should I answer some of these questions then in the chat?
I'll read them out as we go, just because
Okay.
as we're recording it, it might not show up in the recording. So we'll just keep it accessible, if you will. In terms of internships or just general volunteer work, does Tech NL have a directory if girls were looking for places to volunteer across the province, or do you know of any such thing?
We don't have a directory for volunteers right now, but that's a great idea. Yeah, this is our first time doing, like I said, the high school internship program, and that's kind of our first time really working for an extended time with students. So no, we don't have a volunteer one, but that's actually a great idea. And if I would encourage any student, if you can find a company that will accept a volunteer, that's a great way to learn about what they do and to expand your skills.
Awesome. Did you have any experience, Lesley, with volunteering prior to jumping into the sector?
I didn't, but one thing I can suggest is when you're in school, to take jobs that might be more entry-level positions. So for example, when I was in my first, second, throughout all of my university, I was working for like local advertising agencies, helping freelancers, that kind of stuff, just to kind of like up my coding skills and have one-on-one mentorship, and also make some like summer spending money in the process. But really, like the key opportunity for internships and that kind of stuff is that work experience.
Perfect. Just a reminder to the girls, you can be upvoting these questions. So there's currently 9 questions. So you can ask your own questions by all means, but if you're looking at the questions and seeing some that you like, little thumbs up next to it shows that those are questions that you'd like to hear about. So let's see. Oh, it looks like this one is for Marlayne. What types of things did you study when in University for Commerce? What did that look like?
I focused in marketing for my degree, but you can focus on different things, and you do have to do a variety of courses in HR and in finance as well, just to get a base understanding. But yeah, mostly for me, it was marketing that I did. And the wonderful thing about the commerce program is the co-op version. So I was able to do work terms. I did 3 work terms, and 2 of them I did in the Netherlands, which was really a great opportunity to travel and see a bit of the world and get some great international experience. So the co-op program is really wonderful.
Wonderful. And we heard from our role models, I think, back in the Life Sciences Month, if I'm not mistaken, that they were also recommending co-op programs. So good to hear again that sounds like it might be a bit across the board. I'm sure there's varying experiences. Lesley, did you do any co-op programs?
Yeah, computer science actually has a co-op. So computer science is a little bit differently. They do 6, 8, and 12-month work terms, so just the one, which is really great because you actually get some awesome experience within that longer time frame. I did mine locally actually at MUN, and I learned a lot during that work term. I would say throughout the course of my degree, most of my tangible experience came from that mentorship when I was there for 8 months.
And of course, co-ops are perfect for putting on your resume, along with volunteer experience and those entry-level jobs. Co-ops are ready-made for your resume. Okay, let's see. What are the skills a person would need to have to do well in your program? So I guess within post-secondary, what skills did you kind of bring into your post-secondary program that helped you succeed? We can start with Lesley this time.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that you don't need to have any experience in coding or computer programming or whatever to start a career or education in computer science. I think that it is completely fine if you want to get into that completely green. I would say just take like take it as a supplementary course and just see if you like it. So I would say that you don't really need to have any tangible skills to start it. I think just start it and see if you like it. And like, I think there's a misconception that you have to be good at math or enjoy doing math or what have you. I didn't consider myself like a math person when I was in high school. I think that I did well in it, but I don't think it was the thing that I loved to do the most. But computer science to me was really enjoyable. I think all you need for computer science is just creativity and like basically just enjoying to create things and see things come to life. And I think if you have an interest in that, a career in computer science could be for you.
Love that. Did you have anything to add to that, Marlayne?
I wouldn't focus on the skills similar to what Lesley said, but I think one of the best things that you can draw upon is your own sense of curiosity and interest in what's happening. You know, curiosity to learn more. And while you're at a post-secondary institution, there's all sorts of other things you can do, which, you know, other volunteer organizations, there's other clubs and things. And I would say get involved. I mean, I know that COVID is a little different right now, but yeah, that won't last forever. And there are still other ways that we can connect with people, even virtually. So my advice would be, you know, when you do pick your courses, I would say get there and make the most of it and participate in as much as you can and be curious about what's out there.
Awesome. So this one is, what electives or non-core courses in post-secondary helped you the most? Do you want to start with Marlayne this time? Any non-core courses come to mind for something that you'd kind of recommend that people seek out?
You know, that was a long time ago for me, I have to admit. But when I think of some of the courses that the non-core courses that I did, I really enjoyed things that were very different from my regular course of study. Like I did a sociology course, and there was a lot of books, I think 7 books in one of the courses that talked about all sorts of different cultures all around the world. And it was fascinating because I had never learned about those kind of things. So I would say something just different. And I think the point of some of these post-secondary courses, it's to round you out and to make you kind of a more aware human about the world. So some of them just enjoy for the fact that they're different and learn what you can from them. So yeah, I think my sociology course kind of stands out the most, learning about all those different cultures.
I love sociology, so I'm on board. Lesley, any non-core elective courses that stand out for you?
I think there are like two lines of reasoning people select electives. So either people are so burnt out by their core courses that they want something easy, quote unquote easy, or perceivably easy, or they want to do, as Marlayne said, explore something completely new to them and completely off topic. And I think either or is completely fine. And I actually did both. I definitely did courses that were not considered easy, and I actually learned a lot. I actually did a joint major in geography. So I didn't have to do that to get my computer science degree, but I wouldn't take it back for anything because I love geography. I love studying human culture and the planet. Like that's completely up my alley. You don't have to, so when you go to university, it turns out you actually don't have to choose one thing to study. You can do joint majors, you can do minors. So if you do have an interest in something else, like you can completely pursue that as well. I also took courses that I thought were going to be easy because I was really burnt out. So one of those that comes to mind now that I thought was going to be easy, that I actually ended up really enjoying and was highly engaged with, was gender studies. I learned so much about women's rights, racialization, marginalized people, intersectionality. It was an amazing, eye-opening experience. So I would definitely recommend everybody to take a gender studies course when they are at university.
Perfect. Let's see. And how were you evaluated and tested in post-secondary? Did you write a lot of tests, or was it more so project-based? And Lesley, you'll start this one.
I definitely had a mix. Like, it really depends on the course. Some courses didn't have any tests and they were completely project-based. Some courses were the exact opposite. Like, I know first year psychology hasn't changed ever, I'm on, and it's the whole course is like 2 tests. So, I mean, it really depends what you're doing. Nowadays, I know because of the pandemic, and hopefully you guys won't have to experience this because it'll all be back on campus. But I know a lot of it's project-based because it's really hard to do like fair assessments online. You guys are probably feeling this too with your remote learning, but hopefully that goes back to normal.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to throw in the second question before I throw it to Marlayne, because it's seems pretty related to me. How is the best way to study or prepare for projects and tests with your type of work?
I'm a procrastinator and I'm a crammer, so that's what I lived by in university. So I don't recommend that route because I definitely caused myself a lot of grief, if I'm being honest. I definitely say organization is a skill that I had to learn really quickly. So keeping a calendar, keeping a to-do list, it is very, very, very important, both in school and outside of school when you have a lot of things on the go. I also like to do study sheets. So I always do kind of like condensed notes so I can test myself. That was always my go-to study routine when I was in school, was basically just making big study guides and just going on those, like study Bibles, essentially.
Awesome. And Marlayne, now I've got it doubled up for you, but the first one was, how were you evaluated and tested? Did you write a lot of tests, or was it project-based? And then the second part now is recommendations for how to study or prepare.
Well, for the first question, I remember a lot of tests, but I know the further I got into the Bachelor of Commerce program, the more group work there was. And I actually really enjoyed group work. It was really nice, especially when you have a group that has a variety of skills, so that you're pulling on different people's strengths to make your project really, really strong. And then you learn from each other as well. So I loved the group work that was in the Bachelor of Commerce program. I thought that was awesome. And the best way to study, I mean, for me, I did an online voter's license the other day, which, you know, is a silly little thing that I wanted to do. But for me, it reminded me that I like to write notes. That act of actually using an actual pen and actual paper really helps me write down notes and remember, and then I can review them again later. So that's my tip. But I'm sure I had times where I was procrastinating too, Lesley.
Like how both me and Lesley like nodded along there. Yes, we write things out, absolutely. And for myself, I know that I would cram as much as I could into like a 2-page document. Like I'd study and study and study. But that day before, that last moment of studying was writing everything I could in as small as I could. So I kind of tried to picture that 1-pager. That was me in post-secondary anyway. Let's see here. What high school courses do you recommend taking to prepare for your degree or your career? And this time we start with Marlayne.
I would say that's, I don't have a good answer for that. I would say if you have a certain interest, it's best to check with your guidance counselor on that. I know if you want to get into anything that needs sciences, it's really important that you're getting those sciences in. So I would say check with your guidance counselor. I know that MUN also probably could offer some insight on that too. They do have people like recruitment people that go to the high schools to talk on a certain time of year, at least before COVID. I don't know how that's happening right now. But yeah, I'd say check with your guidance counselor. What's more important for what you think you're interested in?
Yeah, MUN has live sessions, actually Q&As every Thursday of April. So I think that means we have 2 left. So you can check the bulletin on Flipgrid for the link to those. So that'll be happening tomorrow, Thursday, and the following Thursday as well. So good little plug for MUN in there. And Lesley, do you have high school courses you would recommend?
I mean, if you do have an opportunity to take a computer technology course, obviously I have to say, try it. I also would not necessarily take your experience in those courses to heart if it's not exactly what you expected it to be. I still say if you have a bad experience in a tech course in high school, try it again in university. It could be a completely different experience. Secondly, I wish that like when I was in high school, I kept being like, no, none of like doing biology or physics or whatever. I was just like, no, none of this is going to pertain to me after high school. I'm just going to like learn it now and just completely wipe it out of my brain. Don't do that. Like try to like learn it instead of like studying it, if that makes sense, because there's so many times in my life where I'm like, oh, I wish I remembered some high school biology right now, or oh, I wish I remembered some high school physics right now, because I didn't. I just completely took it out of my mind.
Actually, I'm just going to jump in there because I should have also said that about the tech course, Lesley. So thank you for saying it. The other thing just to mention is that it was announced back in, I think it was December, that there's going to be a new pilot program with the College of the North Atlantic, and they're starting with 8 schools across the province, and they are introducing different Python courses. So if you do your introduction to computer science in grade 10, then you have the option of doing these Python courses in conjunction with the College of the North Atlantic. So that's an exciting opportunity. And if you're at one of those high schools, it would be great. It would be great to do it. And hopefully, you know, after this first year happens, they'll expand to other high schools as well.
Have they announced, Marlayne, which high schools that includes at the moment? Just haven't heard myself, and
yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that for you.
But it only starts in September, I take it, in the new school year. Yeah, so something to watch for sure as you're picking your high school courses upcoming. So let's see, next up we have what your typical workday involves, and do you work with team or solo? I believe it's Lesley for the first answer.
So I will answer this in 2 parts: pre-pandemic and now. So pre-pandemic, it was going into the office and working collaboratively with my team in person most days a week. My job in particular, I need to do both group work and solo work. So I work in a leadership role. So I'm technically the product experience design lead at Zorbis Math. So that requires me to collaborate with a lot of people. So when I'm in that kind of mode of work, I like to work with groups and be around people. But I'm also a software developer. I'm also a graphic designer at work. So when I'm doing that type of work, I like to work from home because I like the quiet. I don't like distractions. So in nowadays, we do technically have an office that's open, but for safety reasons, I haven't been going in a whole lot, not until everything is opening back up again, like for real. So typically now my day is wake up at 8:45, get a coffee, and start working in my pajamas for 9. And I haven't worn real pants in months. So it's lovely, actually.
Awesome. And Marlayne, how does your daily work life go?
Well, I spend a lot of time in my office here at home now. We also have moved to work from home, but we do a lot of connecting with the team. So we're on Zoom a fair bit of the day with either coworkers at TechNL or member companies or some of the government departments that we work with. So there's a lot of Zoom calls, which means you also need to remind yourself to get up from your desk and take a walk around the house, at least around your neighborhood, and then start again. But so there are benefits to working from home, but there are also nice things when you can finally get together with people again. You really kind of, I find you feed off each other's energy and excitement, and often it's even help through challenges, or if you're stuck on something, somebody's right there that you can just say, hey, what do you think about this? But for me, I also start every day with coffee, and my little dog sometimes comes up and starts the day with me in my office at my feet, and a lot of Zoom calls.
There's a dog. Yeah, mine just walked in the room too. Not on camera, I don't think, but never far away. I don't think
Yeah.
he's going to be too happy if I ever do go back to the office. Spoiled now, never going back.
They're all spoils.
Let's see. What types of other career paths did you consider before making your decision? Marlayne.
I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, although actually out of high school, when I graduated from high school, I moved to Toronto and studied dance for a term. So I guess I did think about doing that for a little while. And then I hit December and was like, maybe this is not for me. So I moved back and registered at Memorial and started going to Memorial as of January. But I mean, that was a great experience. I would encourage you to try whatever's on your mind. There's no time to try things. And when you're young, do the things that you want to do, safely. Again, COVID is that qualifier, but explore the things that you think you want to explore, because time just passes and then you'll have lost that opportunity perhaps. So I would encourage you to explore. But yeah, I wasn't really sure. And I think it was the co-op part of the commerce degree that really changed my mind and made me think, okay, because I really wasn't thinking about business before that. But when I realized I could help pay for my degree along the way and get that experience, that sold me on the program. So
Perfect. And that seems kind of ringing bells for me there now. I didn't do a co-op, but I feel like most co-ops at MUN are paid. I feel like that's true.
for commerce, they were. At least that was when I went. But again, that wasn't yesterday.
Science is all paid as well.
Yeah, I feel like MUN really pushes that. It's possible to get unpaid co-ops if you're like, I really want to do my co-op at this random organization that's never worked with MUN before, then maybe it would be a volunteer position, but I'm pretty sure MUN, they're all paid co-ops. Okay, I guess that brings us to Lesley. What other types of career paths did you consider?
I toyed with the idea of being a dentist when I was in high school, but I got to university and I tried computer science, and within my first year, I declared my major because I just instantly fell in love with it. I'd been making websites since I was like 9 years old. So it wasn't even just like I found the thing that I like to do, but I also found people that I could connect with on that level. And like when you find like people like that that you can connect with and that get you kind of like you feel at home. And I just felt instantly at home when I got into those courses. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for me.
Awesome. Lucky, I'm sure. A lot of people
Very
takes us a little longer, but
very. So I don't have a lot of advice for that stuff because I've just have been lucky that I've always kind of knew what I wanted to do.
And I think
I
that
would
goes
argue, Lesley, that you've created a lot of your own luck and you've worked hard, but that's modest of you to say that.
fair. I shouldn't use the word lucky. We've all worked for where we are. This question kind of ties in. I'm not sure if either of you have anything to add to some more of the reasons why you chose your career path. Either of you have an additional, because we had Marlayne saying that she found the co-op just instantaneously click for her, and Lesley saying creating websites at age of 7.
Do you have like another thing? When I got into computer science, it really reaffirmed in me that I needed to be here, because I looked around and I didn't see any other women, or I saw some and like they were far and few in between. So at that point, it was like a stubbornness thing in me. And it's like society or the university or someone is telling me that I'm not supposed to be here. So I'm going to make sure that I am here, and I'm going to succeed in this, and I'm going to continue to follow through in it, just so I can be part of like that representation that this program really needs.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I would say a commerce degree really gives you, I think it gives you a lot of versatility. It certainly provided me with a lot of knowledge and I guess confidence to look for different places to work. And I started in the tech sector. When I graduated, I moved to Ottawa actually and started with a tech company, a huge tech company up there. And I learned so much, but I mean, since then I've had lots of different positions and I've worked with the Coast Guard, I've worked with the CNLOPB, I've worked with other nonprofits. There's been lots of things, and I think that versatility is really appealing, especially if you're not totally sure what kind of job you want. You can still take those skills you learn and you can apply them to other areas, or other industries. So it's I think it gives you a lot of versatility.
Awesome. Have you ever wanted to change your career path after getting into the digital economy sector? I believe we're at, I don't know who was supposed to be first. We'll go with Lesley.
Every time I find a bug in my code and I can't figure it out, I'm like, all right, today's the day I quit. I'm done. But not really, actually. In all seriousness, I never thought about leaving, just because I see people around me, friends, family, like struggling to continue to find meaningful, profitable employment in Newfoundland and Labrador. And again, like it's not luck, but at the same time, I do feel very fortunate to have a career that can provide for me emotionally and economically. So I never once thought about leaving this sector.
And Marlayne?
I took some time off in the middle of my career when my children were really young. So I have meandered a little bit. Like I said, I started in the tech sector and had several years working for a tech company, and then took some time off. So after I did that, I did try out some different things, and now I'm back in the tech sector. So I feel like it's come full circle, and I'm really happy there. There's so many exciting things happening, and opportunities and good news stories, and successes, and people that really are doing some incredible things. It's very inspiring. So I wouldn't change where I am now for anything.
Good to hear. What kind of supports were available to you in post-secondary? Can you think of any supports from post-secondary, Marlayne? Perhaps.
I'm going to say again, I don't remember exactly when I went through, but I know that there was. I think if you can develop a group of people that are going through the same program with you, if you're doing a program like commerce, you do get to know the people around you, and they can be a real support, whether it's a study group or, just the friends that you make moving through your program. But I know that MUN has quite a lot of supports over there now for student services. So there are lots at Memorial. I'm not sure about the other organizations, but most of them would have like a student services area. I think that you could go and ask questions. MUN has I think a student wellness center that they do a lot of different things. There's different volunteer organizations you can get involved with.
Yeah, I always love Answers. That's the name of, like, it's MUN Answers. And that's the name of the office. If you have questions, they have answers. It's that simple. So they'll connect
Smart.
you with a bunch of organizations too. And I'll plug WRDC right now too. So while I focus on K to 12, I have coworkers that focus on adults, specifically women, and will help you figure out what's available out there. So that's their job is essentially to be your guidance counselor when you're an adult, if I can summarize it that way. Lesley, any supports coming to mind for you that you used in post-secondary?
Yeah, well, I'll mirror what Marlayne said as well. Your peers are your best support. I wouldn't have been able to get through post-secondary, I don't think, sometimes without receiving help from people around me. And you lift each other up because everyone is going through the same struggles that you are. It's a really rewarding experience, but it's challenging at times. So you need help from other people. With computer science in particular, if you do choose to go that route, there are scholarship programs specifically for women. So I received one every single year when I was in university. I didn't have to apply. It just was given to me automatically. It was like to like the woman who had like the top GPA, and being like a very few women in the faculty. My GPA wasn't amazing, but I still got it anyways. And I know my previous employer, Blue Drop, actually does a scholarship for women in computer science as well. So, and that's only two I know of. So I'm sure there are many more.
I just want to jump on something that Lesley said. I love that you said you need help. You can't do it all by yourself. And I think that's a good message to tell young people, is that you don't need to do all of it by yourself, and it's okay to ask for help from the people that are around you, because I think sometimes, especially these days between COVID and the devices that we have, it can feel a little isolating sometimes when you're going through a program that's challenging. But know that everybody needs help at some point, and it's really good if you can help build your own network to help with that, but also reach out when you do need some assistance, because there is assistance out there that can help.
Wonderful. We are getting to the last 5 minutes or so. So if anyone has any burning questions, enter them now, or upvote questions. We'll get to just a couple more, I think. I even silenced that, but I guess they called twice. That was my phone. Apologies. Okay. Next up is it difficult to be accepted into your program, and what are the academic requirements? Do you recall, Lesley?
I recall my experience declaring my major, which was get a form, and I went to the undergraduate advisor, and I was like, "Can I major in this?" And she said, "Yup." And that was how hard it was. She didn't check anything. She didn't check my grades. So I don't know. I think that computer science is so in demand. I don't think that they're really that fussy on who goes in. I think they're like, "You want to do this? Okay, come on in." So it's good for that.
Wonderful. I know, Marlayne, you've, after saying a number of times that it's been a while, but
It's been a while. I'd say check with your guidance counselor on that one. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really remember.
yeah, and I feel overall, no matter what program you're picking, it changes so often, depending on how many people are applying that year, and they might have recently changed the guidelines. So again, that MUN session is happening tomorrow, Thursday, and the following Thursday as well if you miss it tomorrow. And they continuously have these sorts of opportunities for you to ask questions of MUN, of course. So that's a question for them for sure. Did you live on campus during university or off campus? How was that experience? Marlayne?
My parents lived really close to campus, actually. So I lived at home with my parents. But I always wondered, it seemed like it would be fun to live on campus. So I wondered, did I miss out by missing that? But it didn't make sense for me to live on campus.
And Lesley?
I lived off campus, so I had a 1-bedroom apartment right off Elizabeth Avenue. So it was like a 5-minute walk from on. It was great. I loved having that freedom of being away from home, but again, I was really jealous of my peers who could live at home because I was also spending a lot of money in rent. So there's downsides to that as well. I actually never lived on campus, but I did work for housing resident services for my co-op for MUN. So I do have a little bit of experience with that is like, and I would do it. I think I would do it probably in my first or second year, just to get the experience. I think it might get old after a while, but depending who you are. But I know some people who live on campus throughout their entire university degree. So I think it just really depends on your need for privacy and your need for space, personal space.
That was a good question. I haven't seen that one yet, so that was an interesting one. I did not live on campus myself either. Was it difficult to get your current position, and how long were you searching for a job? That's to Lesley.
I've had 4 full-time positions outside after I finished my degree, and I have never applied to a job that I had. I've been recruited for every single job I've ever had. So no, I've never searched for a job, so I don't know. And from my understanding, for most computer science graduates, this is kind of normal if you're a known person in your field that has like a niche. So my niche was, oh, she can code and she can design. So because I had those skills under my tool belt, I was so in demand, I never had to worry about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Marlayne.
I just have to say, Lesley, that's amazing. And it's like the poster child of what we're trying to say at TechNL. It's like, you will have a great job if you go into your area. But that's great to hear. It wasn't like that for me, especially having taken some time off in the middle. And then of course we moved from Ottawa back here. And I worked really hard finding a job. And then I have had a few of them since I moved back. And now I really feel like every job that I've had on that path has taught me something different. So even the jobs that I've had, I probably have had jobs that I didn't love as much as I've loved other jobs. There's always something to learn. And if you have a job, it's easier to get a new job. So I would never recommend quitting a job before you find a new one. I would say, you know what? See what you can get while you are employed, and take the learnings out of the situation, because often, even if it's not optimal, a lot of learning comes from situations that are not optimal, and you really build your skills as you go. And sometimes going from job to job really does give you learnings and extra skills that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So it wasn't necessarily easy per se to get where I am right now. But I can see how each of the positions I've had have taught me different things and really kind of filled my toolbox with the skills that got me here now.
Love it. And with that, we are essentially out of time. If either of you have any last words of wisdom for the girls, they're right from grade 7 to grade 12. And they're keen to learn as far as I can tell.
If anyone has any other questions about what I do or what it's like to be specifically a woman in the tech sector, My email, I think, is on Flipgrid. So, and I'm sure Trina can pass my information along to you. I love to talk about what it's like because I want to see more women in this field. That is the ultimate goal, I think.
Wonderful. And Marlayne, any last words?
I would just say, speak your mind. Every time you have something on your mind that you want to say, speak your mind. And I would say, stay curious and learn from the people who are around you.
Wonderful. And just housekeeping, the Flipgrid is ongoing, of course. The digital economy grid is up with a bunch of coding activities, as well as Lesley's website 101. I'll have a bulletin on Friday with this recording on it, and any other things I find along the way external to STEM for Girls. We are getting ready for the May month, which will be physical sciences, such as geography, physics, etc. And you'll be receiving, I'm not sure if I showed you, but I'll show you now since I have it within reach. You'll be receiving these kits in the mail soon for next month. And oh, one more thing, the feedback survey went out on Monday, and I did post that on the bulletin as well if you did miss that email, just to see how we're doing. Of course, you are our pilot group, so we want to know how we can improve this. Yeah, I think that's everything for today. Thank you both for joining me. Thank you to all of the girls who joined and all the girls who are watching this as a recording. I hope you can join us live next time if that's the case. And we're signing off for now. Have a wonderful day.